My witchcraft journey started when I was about 10 years old. One day, at a cousin's sleepover in my living room by the family desktop Dell computer, my cousins and I were wondering what it would be like to cast a living, breathing, real-life spell. We must have been watching Hocus Pocus or something similar the night before, and were ever so excited about the idea of magic. The first spell I ever casted was a Make-A-Wish spell. I learned it on the deep dark web. The website was black and aqua, which were very two prominent colors of the internet in the early 2000s. The font must have been somewhere along the lines of Comic Sans meets Gothic, as back then we did not have an array of fonts online readily available yet. I remember the website hurting my eyes because it was supposed to appear like a scroll. The directions were simple. You would write a wish on a piece of paper, truly thinking about what's to come of it, and then you'd fold the paper up and burn the evidence. You can bury the ashes in your yard if you wish. I know we're not supposed to say wishes aloud, but since mine did not come true, I think I've earned the right to, on my paper, read, "I wish my parents weren't getting a divorce." It brought tears to my eyes, my first spell, but I felt so entirely confident in my witchy nature that I felt in my soul that this spell, with no protection, no big plan, but a sprinkle of belief in magic, would make it come true. That was my first core memory as a witch. In this long game of spellcasting, I've learned it's not entirely about mixing potions and stirring brews. It's about the soul searching of where you'd like your heart to lie and how you like to see yourself. With this comes never-ending circumstances of facing your past, relieving your trauma or baggage that may come with that, and hearing the voice in your head try to steer you in the best possible direction. This is an attempt to connect with my inner child. You can follow these guidelines as loosely as you please, just know you might dig up dirt you've buried decades ago. It might not be fresh soil, but there are roots that need relieving. Yesterday, I made an Instagram story, definitely venting, but in the most vague way possible, because I was just in my head, in my thoughts, and just there are moments of you just want to let it out and just not talk about anything but talk about something, and it just ends up being really vague. Whatever. I miss a lot of things that just don't really exist anymore. I don't know. Might revamp my entire approach on everything tonight. LOL. This is so random and vague, but I have to vent it out. Gonna sulk in the Sunday sadness, and I hope you all sleep well tonight. I don't know where it stems from, but sometimes on Sundays I go through this thing, and I know a lot of us go through it, especially on Sundays. It's like a mood of oh my god, it's a Sunday, the next week is coming, it's approaching, I'm never gonna relive my childhood again, I never get to go to school again or wake up for the first day of 4th grade with my outfit that I still remember what I wore in 4th grade on the first day of school. I literally wore a limited 2 green 2-piece set. It was a green crop top with a white tank top under it and a green skirt. I don't know, I was just freaking thinking about it and how there's so many things that I miss and I love, and these feelings of, will I ever have them again? Will I ever see them again? Will I ever be able to revisit them again? And it's not necessarily sadness feelings. It's more so I can't believe the world is spinning and I'm a part of it. And it sucks. It doesn't suck in a way where I'm sad and I want to cry, even though I did cry yesterday. The only form that I could possibly explain it in is in the word nostalgia. And that's where this video is going to set sail and take place. Today we are going to be connecting with our inner child, and I think that's really sweet and really practical, and I guess that we should all probably be doing this, especially if you have some hidden trauma or unresolved issues with really just yourself, because you live in the past, or you're so stuck or harboring these feelings of you grasp onto things because they make you feel something, and that's important. Let's get into it. There are 6 steps to connecting with your inner child. 1 is visiting a place you enjoyed as a kid. There you'll learn to embrace the nostalgia, perhaps jog a memory, and maybe even daydream of what things could have been. My place or places are kind of personal, so I did not film them, but do know that I visit them often. I always talk about the memories I have had there. I talk about the bad days, the times I've ran away, the moments I thought it was the end. The people I saw along the way, the ones I wish I didn't. Once, I was on a walk to my favorite park with my 2 friends. It was just a short distance from my childhood home, and it was just about dusk on a summer night. This place, located also by a boating dock, with some sort of sketchy, for lack of better words, adults. They'd hang out over there and do whatever adults do, and we were almost to our destination when suddenly a van drove eerily close to us and full throttle stopped. We heard noises and chains and clanking within it. The van didn't move. It watched and it followed. Helpless, my friends and I ran as fast as we could to a neighboring covering. We pretended to go into somebody's garage. Hidden behind the garbage pails, we anticipated the van leaving in fear of someone getting out of it first. We knew not to run to our own homes, as they then would know our whereabouts and possibly learn our routines. Our routines of talking about life and chatting about boys and where we want to be when we grow older. Our routines of lurking candy stores for a 25-cent bag of chips and walking home to do homework and watch Boy Meets World together after a stressful day of middle school. Eventually, the van left. I pulled out my pink Razor flip phone and called my dad to retrieve us. I don't know if I ever told him what happened and why we were so scared. I was petrified he'd seek them out. That was my earliest memory of being frightened for my life. That was the first time I ever felt unsafe in what was once my safe haven. On a lighter note, I was always a creative child. I had dreams of being famous. I just felt like I could make a difference. I was a passionate writer by the 2nd grade. I know that seems young, and how could a 2nd grader possibly know a thing about writing? But I had a teacher who was incredible to me and a few other classmates. We'd skip out on lunch to hang out with her. She'd encourage us to be the classroom monitors and share stories with one another. I can't remember specifics, but about Christmas time, she bought us each a pocketbook from Limited 2 with our initials on them. It was the most fulfilling moment of my school years. It was honestly enough to make me start crying now, mainly because she was older when I was younger, and I can't imagine her still being around today. One of our classroom assignments was to keep a book of writing sessions. We'd write small stories, like mentioned, about things we did over summer break, moments we wished to relive, and things we were eager to dream about. I still have the book, and it's so sweet to flip through it when you're feeling a little extra nostalgic. The next step or exercise you can do to connect with your inner child lies around the concept of being creative. You can draw, you can paint, you can write, you can read, or do that DIY Pinterest craft that you've been putting off. Spend time creating with the things you have already around you. You never know what you might come up with. I've been writing in this journal for quite some time now. I abandoned it for a bit because I called it my Helpless Journal. It was basically started because I had a sprig of panic attacks back in 2018 that I just couldn't shake. It was a really difficult time, and that's actually when I restarted my YouTube channel also. You could tell from watching those videos that I was timid, anxious, and overly fragile. I've always loved the progression of this book, but I disliked the cover because it didn't really align with what was inside. This was my small project to myself during the Healing My Inner Child week that I truly wanted to tackle. I took out some acrylic paint I had in a bag on top of my closet, and I just started painting the journal covers. It was a simple fix to something I kept feeling so stressed about. I decided that this book, if it were going to hold such poems and growth, needed to be bound by an aura that made sense to it. Black paint it was. I sketched out the words "through" on my scraps and went ahead and wrote the word down on the front cover. Such a simple word with such a complex meaning. I've never felt happier to do such a silly task. Another task at hand you can connect from is looking through older photos of yourself. This is a mere luxury if you're a bit older and have to lurk through photo albums buried somewhere in your basement or up top in the spiderwebby attic. And man, are they daunting to look through. They're a fun archive of photos that truly shows what life was like in the 90s and early 2000s. The outfits, the hair, the playgrounds, the plays, the talent shows, the dance competitions, family parties, surprise parties, and Sunday dinners. It's a lot to look through, but if you ever have a day off, I suggest giving it your best. If that's a little too much work for you, log into your old Facebook and find those photo albums you thought you forgot existed. Figure out your photo bucket password and sift through the images you kind of hoped that would never come out into fruition again. This next clip is going to contain some random moments from when I was a little bit older than a child, but most definitely still a kid. I guess we're gonna do it this way. For childhood photos, I could deep dive into the memories of the internet. I obviously have a ton more pictures that exist beyond this, but this is like the easiest thing I could do right now at the moment. And these were like my favorite pictures in the world. We thought that we were so cool doing this. I can't even tell you the time that we had during this. I like actually weirdly remember taking these pictures, and this day it was a beautiful fall day. It was like just like this like incredible moment of running amok and being like cutesy girls and photo booth pics. Then we went to Fright Fest because it was Halloween, and I dressed like a vampire and I wore like my little vampire thing. I don't remember eating Nathan's. I don't remember like this, but you see my blackberry on the table. So that definitely just kind of tells you and sets the scene of what the hell was going on. Oh my god, just Halloween was... I actually remember not so much this, but I remember being up and about and around on Halloween this year. It was like one of those times where I felt like I was kind of going into my adulthood in a way, because I was still really young. I think I was like here, to be honest with you, I could have been 13. Oh my god, I could have been 13 here. No. Yeah. I was either 13 or 14 here. I think. No, I was 14. Okay, I was 14. What? Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy to think about it, because I'm like 14 years old, 15 years old. I don't know if I was 14 or 15, getting piercings with my digital camera. I loved this camera. Which camera is this? Nikon. I would like to get that back. I lost that at a show. But I was getting piercings just completely unguardianed in a place where I definitely shouldn't have been. It was fun, and I loved it. And I wouldn't really take it back. This was Christmas time, right before break. These were also my favorite pictures too. But I don't know, I can't really tell you the moments that I felt here, because most of the time I didn't really remember them to begin with. I know they were definitely a good time, especially if they were documented like this. I remember this day so much. I actually came home and wrote like an entire Tumblr blog on how much this day meant to me. And I can't really get into my Tumblr account anymore. It kind of deleted off the face of the earth, so otherwise I would go back in and read it. But this day like kind of changed the trajectory of my life. I can't even really explain. That's just the only thing that I could say about it. While we've went ahead and looked through every photo album known to man, it's time to do another connection exercise, which honestly might be one of the more important ones. Write a letter to your younger self. This doesn't have to be fancy, you don't have to ship this anywhere or make an open on blah 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 date only thing, but it sort of acts as some sort of closure to your childhood. If you had a traumatic one, it's nice to write some comforting things to yourself and let yourself know that you really weren't alone. You grew up to do great things, or you are growing up in anticipation of doing great things. You don't have to sugarcoat this either. Be as honest and as open as you possibly want. Again, you're speaking to yourself. You shouldn't have to lie to get your point across, and it's really important to just be you, to think clearly, to babble, to let your thoughts roam free. The child in you will appreciate this, and I'm sure you'll find a sense of relief in it as well. I sealed my letter and put it in an envelope just for keepsakes. In no means do you have to do this, but I thought it was nice to make sure my thoughts were sort of protected from the outside world. If anything, it meant something more to me to know that maybe one day someone might open it out of curiosity and read through it. Maybe they'd learn a thing or two, too. Following this letter, you might feel the need to just decompress. Now, you guys know I am not much of a meditator. I enjoy my own thoughts, but I'm as antsy and as restless as they come. There are plenty of inner child guided meditations to follow online, in books, and even lately podcasts, but I am not one to share with you how to do so please give someone a shot at following one if you want another step in this puzzle of connecting with your inner child. Lastly, in this exercise, write a list of things that made you happy as a child. This was a fun activity because it was just a random bursts of things that kept appearing in my mind as I was continuing writing the list. I started off with a simple memory, getting X to play outside. This sparked an array of memories that just kept flooding in.
It was so nice to quickly jot everything down and try to keep up with how fast my brain was moving and processing my happinesses. We spend so much time repressing our bad times that it truly is so hard to focus on the good ones too. This exercise was probably the most exciting thing I've done in a while. Sounds incredibly sad to say that, but it gave me so much joy. Some other things on my list included sleepovers, picking up my sisters from the bus stop, walking around Universal Studios with my family, making up dance choreography, making friendship bracelets, participating in camp talent shows, going to the movies on Friday nights, running errands with my mom, and always eating Chick-fil-A. Even though I've been a vegetarian for 12 years now, those ritual moments with her made me feel so special as the eldest daughter. Happy moments can also be sad too, because you think about those times and how you can't relive them again. Like, one of my happy moments was also playing with my dog Atlas. Literally typing out his name right now in the script just made me instantly start sobbing. Obviously, I'm recording the voiceover after doing this, so I am trying to hold my composure. He was a German Shepherd like Rambo, and they were both the best boys in the world. Atlas was around from before I was born, and he was my protector overall. He passed when I was about 10 or maybe 11 years old, and it was honestly the worst day of my life. Having Rambo pass just this last year was incredibly reminiscent on how my first dog must have felt for my dad. That boy was his everything, and I don't think I could even talk about it anymore in this video because I've honestly taken too many crying breaks in between writing sessions that I've just got to leave it at that and never talk about it again. It's the one thing that will trigger an emotional breakdown for me other than my grandparents. Listen, nobody said healing was easy. It's not a seamless road of rainbows and butterflies. It has a lot of cobblestones and paths that twist around alleys and lead to dead ends and speakeasy bars. There are overgrown trees and leaves that never got picked up last fall. Nobody has the same road, and there's not really a map for this kind of stuff. It's something you've got to figure out on your own or through therapy. Although I really personally dislike therapy and I won't recommend it to people just because I've never had wonderful experiences, but that doesn't mean you should ever listen to me. Ever. I'm just being painfully honest about situations that linger in my mind and I wish would just disappear already. Connecting with yourself is genuinely one of those first steps. As seemingly easy as that sounds, it's not. This video took me about a week to film, and I still have a lifetime to go of unpacking things that should have and shouldn't have happened, but I'm glad to be writing my script of solving this childhood mystery map that'll steer me in the direction of hitting that big ol' X marks the spot. I hope you find your treasure too. I appreciate you for watching this video, and I wish you so much luck and so much energy within your own healing journey. Remember, I have an entire witchery playlist that you can watch and create alongside me, and please subscribe before you go. I'll see you soon. Until then, stay youthful, wild, and free.